Welcome back to the Villa View for another video. Today me and Dan are going to discuss something that is a big issue at Villa Park at the moment, and it isn't the strikers for once, as we've discussed previously. This is about the situation in goal at the moment, considering we've had 3 different number ones this season. Dan, tell me your thoughts.
Well, I've got quite a lot of thoughts, and obviously just before we've started filming, we've had a bit of a barney with each other because on a few points we really seem to disagree with what's happened. But Villa have had, you said they've had 3 number ones this season. We've had 4 number ones in the last 12 months, which is probably unheard of. I can't imagine any other teams had that turnover of goalkeeper. We're in a situation now where we've got a young kid in goalkeeping terms on loan who's not doing well. I don't want to sit here and pan Sam Johnstone for 15 minutes, and I'm not going to do that. But to me, it was an absolute no-win deal for the club. We were never going to gain anything from signing Sam Johnstone, and we're in a position now where I think in a couple of games' time, good old number 2 journeyman Mark Bunn's going to find himself in goal again, just as he has done earlier in the season, just as he did last season, because Guzan was garbage. So we just don't seem to be moving forward in the goalkeeping position. We seem to take half measures and then wonder why it's going wrong. I mean, I know you think a few things differently to me, but you must agree with what I've just said, surely.
I do. The situation in goal is embarrassing, in fairness, as you've touched on. Mark Bunn ain't a number 1 goalkeeper by any stretch of the imagination. I know we touched on off camera, he could be a number 2 at any side because he simply is a number 2 goalkeeper. That's how it works for him. As for Gollini, well, we all know what's happened there, and we'll come on to that, I'm sure, very shortly. But as for Sam Johnstone, as you've touched on as well, I'm not going to pat him down for the next 15 minutes because it's pointless just constantly slagging him off, because in fact none of the goalkeepers have shone themselves in any good light this season, and it's just the situation at Villa. We've had 4 different goalkeepers as number 1, and I just don't know what it is. There's no sort of like consistency with any of them. There's no sort of confidence, and your first line of defence is your goalkeeper. I know they say it's your striker, but to me it's obviously the opposite end where your goalkeeper is, because if your goalkeeper's confidence, it fills the rest of your team with confidence.
You say that no one's done any good in goal this season. That's rubbish. Gollini, yes, a couple of dodgy things happened to him, but he was good. He was a good goalkeeper, and obviously we're going to move on to his strange demands, which are very strange. The Italian goalkeeper thing is absolutely bizarre, but the club must have agreed to that demand, and if so, that they shouldn't have done. Gollini was a good goalkeeper, and I think if he was in the team, he wouldn't have complained. But the guy sat on the bench while Mark Bunn's flapping around in goal. I'd be complaining.
I do think that Gollini's got a right to be frustrated, and I agree with you, Dan. I do feel that Gollini could well be a good goalkeeper, but with these stupid demands, we say about the fact that we agreed to these apparently silly demands, we don't know obviously how true they are, about the goalkeeping coach must be Italian and so on and so forth. But to me, how did we know that Roberto Di Matteo would last 5 minutes and then Steve Bruce would come in with an English goalkeeping coach? We didn't know that. We didn't know that would be the case at all. And perhaps we expected that Di Matteo would do a good job. Di Matteo was going to be there for the long run, and obviously coaching staff would have been. So Gollini could well have been okay this season if that was the case. But because of the change, it's meant that he's obviously through a strop. And obviously Steve Bruce has gone, forget that, I'm not having you in my squad if you're going to strop. And he clearly forced to move. I'm not suggesting he did force a move, but I'm suggesting that he clearly wanted to move if there's that clause in his contract and broke it. I hate comparing things to Football Manager because people slate it. But it's the simple case of when you give a player a promise and that promise is broken, your player gets unhappy and he wants to leave.
I can't believe you're comparing real life to Football Manager. I hate it when people do that.
I hate it as well, but I'm just putting into context the way it is, though. The fact that we've obviously made this promise to him and we've broken that promise.
I'm telling you now, though, if Gollini was playing and wasn't sat on the bench at the time, and Villa weren't being linked with bringing in different goalkeepers, he would not have asked to move. If he was in the first team at Villa, he wouldn't have asked to go. There's no way. He'd have given that up, and I know he's gone off to Italy now for 18 months, and he's not going to play for Villa again. It's another one. I mean, we've done other videos where we talk about players going on loan and not coming back. That's another player gone. It's another player bought in the summer that won't play for Villa again. And he's a good keeper. Italy are renowned for bringing through good goalkeepers, and if he's the Italian under-21 goalkeeper, That's a good player to have in your team in the Championship, in my eyes. He didn't do. I know he had those couple of dodgy moments against Huddersfield and Sheffield Wednesday, but there was also times where he kept us in the game. At least he had something about his game that you could hang your hat on. I've not seen anything from Johnstone so far that's made me think, oh, he's a decent keeper, bar the Spurs game, where, in all fairness, there's no pressure on Villa in that Spurs game. But the bread and butter is the league. When you need wins and you need your keeper to do something, he hasn't done it. He looks shaky and made mistakes. And he reminds me a bit of Scott Carson. He's made a mistake, and I don't see him coming back from that mistake. At least with Gollini, he made a mistake and you saw a bit of resilience from him. Johnstone just looked scared. He looked petrified in the Brentford away game with the fans behind him. You could see it. He didn't want to do anything, and it showed with the second goal where he was a bit indecisive. Although the defending wasn't great either, he was just indecisive, and he looks frightened now. And he's gone into the Forest game and made a huge error, and that's cost us.
I agree. I think that his confidence is already shot, and obviously I supported the loan signing to a degree when we originally discussed this, and I'm sure we'll come on to that. But
wasn't to a degree. I think you were quite vocal in that it was the best thing since sliced bread.
Well, no, definitely not. But I think
no. You were reeling off. At least you were like, oh, he's been number one at Preston. He's been number one at, I don't even know where else he's played, at Swindon or wherever he's been. That's a hell of a difference to being number one at Aston Villa.
Well, Dan, you say that Sam Johnstone is experienced. The guy might be 23, but bear with me. I've got a list of clubs. You ready for this one? He's played for Preston twice, Doncaster Rovers twice, Walsall, Oldham, Scunthorpe, Yeovil. That is an experienced goalkeeper to me. At the age of 23, he's going to do the job.
People were knocking Gollini for being inexperienced and indecisive, but Gollini was owned by Aston Villa. We've now got the same, although I don't think the two goalkeepers' abilities are comparable. That's exactly what we've now got with Johnstone, and Villa don't own him. It's half measures all the time, and we've took a half measure and we're coming a cropper for it. The other thing I would say is that this isn't directly a Bruce decision, because Tony Coton and Gary Walsh have picked out this keeper and raved about him. But the problem with forming different people's opinions and signing a player based on that is you get bits of opinion, then you don't get the finished article, the finished product. Bruce, I mean, I'm sure Bruce has seen him play, so he must have known something about him. But Bruce should be picking these players. He's the one who's got to work with them every day, and his neck's on the line when things don't go well. This smacked of a Gary Walsh and Tony Coton with a Man United connection signing. To me, it's almost like we're doing Man U a favour by bringing him in, but we can't be affording to do other people favours. We need to do Aston Villa favours, and it's a no-win situation. I know I keep repeating myself, but there was nothing positive to be gained from this.
I agree. I have to admit I was wrong. I'll hold my hands up and say that. But
well done.
For me, Dan, it's Viva Jed Steer. I don't know what you think, but I think that he could well be our number one next season. I think that he's got all the attributes to be it, in terms of he has got experience in this league. That doesn't matter to me anymore. I think we've quite well established that. But I think that last season did quite well with Huddersfield Town alone, and it's time for him to step up, because he was originally brought in by Paul Lambert for the future, and we are in the future right now. And I think that it's ready for him. I think that we've tried everybody else, and he deserves a crack of the whip, considering his injuries he's had. I think that now it's time for him to have that go. Last season, as I touched on, he was at Huddersfield, did a good job. Fans were quite happy with him, said he was one of the best players of the season, up there in Archie Wells. So for me, next season, Viva Jed Steer.
I never thought I'd ever hear anyone say the phrase Viva Jed Steer. They need to get a banner in the whole end saying Viva Jed Steer. I think it was pretty bad that he wasn't involved earlier on in the season, to be fair, because why was he a number 3 goalkeeper and Mark Bunn sat on the bench? Put Jed Steer on the bench, let the guy get some experience of a match day. He's obviously more of the future than Mark Bunn's ever going to be. I think if Jed Steer hadn't got injured, he'd be the number 1 now.
Yeah, totally, I agree. And it's just another one of the goalkeeping department where it's all gone wrong.
Like you just discussed it a little bit before. The goalkeeper is the most important position on the pitch for me, because it affects everyone. There's only one goalkeeper. Obviously, if a midfielder's having a bad game, there's other guys next to him, but you only have one goalkeeper. And when we spoke to John Gregory, he said another young goalkeeper, Michael Oakes, when he was there, he didn't have the presence or the confidence of Mark Bosnich, and playing with the whole end behind you, it can be intimidating. I sit there, so I know what the whole end's like every game. It's a demanding place, and as soon as they get a whiff of anxiety from a goalkeeper, they pick up on it, and then they get anxious. The goalkeeper gets anxious, and then that resonates around the rest of the team. I mean, that's what's going to happen now.
If your goalkeeper's got confidence, it fills your defenders with confidence. If your defenders have got confidence, your midfielders have got confidence to move forward. And if your midfielders are confident, it pushes your strikers further forward. It's a knock-on effect. It's a domino effect for me. And
yes, bang on.
If there's no confidence at that end of the pitch, then there's not going to be at the opposite end of the pitch because it affects each position.
We're asking for trouble this signing. It was asking for trouble, and we've got trouble, and now we've got to wait till the end of May to fix it again when it should have been a gap that was plugged in January. And I mean, they'll say that that's what they were doing, that Johnstone is a temporary measure, but you've got to have a temporary measure that's good enough. And to me, he's not going to be good enough, and I think he's only going to get worse before he gets better, unfortunately. I mean, I said I wouldn't sit here and slag him off for 15 minutes, but that's exactly what I've done. But I mean, we've got his stats here. Got his stats in front of me. So Wolves, 3 shots faced, 2 saves made. I don't remember any of them. 1 error leading to a goal, 1 goal conceded, so 66% save rate. But let's face it, the only thing he had to do in that game, he made a mess of. Preston, 2 shots faced, 0 saves, 2 goals conceded, 0% save rate. You don't need me to tell you that's bad. Brentford, 5 shots faced, 2 saves made, 3 goals conceded, 40% save rate, plus you look frightened to death. Forest, 6 shots on targets, 4 saves made, 1 error leading to a goal, 2 goals conceded, 66% save rate. Those stats aren't good. Sometimes stats can paint a false picture, but I'd say the most false thing in that is the 2 saves made at Wolves, because I don't remember them.
I think it's atrocious, in fairness, and as I said, we're not going to sit here and slag off goalkeepers, but that is atrocious. And I don't know, you've got Gollini's stats in front of you as well, and they read a bit better, in fairness, overall. There's obviously a wider picture for him because he played a lot more games for us. Was it 20 games he played?
20 games, faced 63 shots, 43 saves, errors leading to a goal, 2. And to be honest, I think they were very, very unfortunate. Both of them, 68% save ratio, which across 20 games is good. That's good.
I think that Johnstone's case, neither of them were unfortunate. I think they were just bad judgment overall. And as a goalkeeper, your judgment is what you rely on so heavily.
That's so true. What you just said is Gollini's biggest mistake he had at Villa was being unlucky. To me, even when he saved a penalty, the guy not the bloody rebounding. So to me, the worst thing about Gollini was he was very unlucky. And as you say, Johnstone's have been really bad error of judgments, in my opinion. And can I just say, I know I criticised the signing and I'm doing it again now, but nothing would please me more than him to be good. I'm not one of those people who sits there and wants people to do badly just because I've questioned something. I'd love him to be good, because that means Aston Villa would be doing better, but it ain't going to happen. I'm sorry.
So Dan, we're back to square one once again with goalkeepers. We haven't got a number 1 for starters. It's been that bad, as we've touched on. So many goalkeepers gone down the line, but it seems like it's haunted. But in reality, I think that we just haven't been giving people a fair crack of the whip and we're making knee-jerk reactions. Hopefully that can be solved in the summer. We want to know your thoughts in the comments as well about the goalkeeping situation. Could you do a better job in goal? Maybe we're being a bit harsh here or not. Just let us know in the comment section below. No opinion is wrong, as per always with us, so do that. And also make sure you are subscribing to the Villa View. There's plenty of content coming, so get the post notifications on, because part 2 of that John Gregory interview is out very soon, and something else is blooming.
John Gregory and something else? Anything? Could be anything.
Exactly. Leave the trail of thought for people.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.